You've got a book inside you, but before you hit that keyboard, let's make sure there's an audience waiting. Hi, I'm 𝗪𝗧𝗔, host of Fearless and Fabulous, and you are in part 2 of a 10-part series on indie publishing. Do you have a book in you? Well, let's see if we can get that book out of you. But first, we need to do some research. Now, in part 1, I laid the foundation, so if you didn't get a chance to watch that video, I will link to that at the end. Now, let's dig into finding out whether there's an audience for your book. First, know your market. There's no bigger book market than Amazon, and whether you think that's good or bad, it really is a great place to start doing your research. On Amazon, browse the top 100 lists that are in your genre. Pay attention to cover styles, titles, subgenres, tone, and themes that pop up. Once you've researched the market, look for gaps in the market. Let's say you really like the hard-boiled detective fiction books, but you're getting a little tired of the males or the young females like 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗃 and Janet Ivanovich's character, whose name escapes me for the moment, 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗆. Maybe you'd like to see a hard-boiled detective who's actually a 50-something or 60-something woman. And so maybe that's going to be your niche. Chances are there's at least one out there, so study your niche. How are other authors handling this genre? Take a look at how they design their book covers. You don't want to be too far different because they're obviously appealing to a market, right? And you want to appeal to that same market. You don't want to copy them, but you don't want to be so far afield that poor readers are not going to know what your book's all about. They're going to want to feel like it's familiar to them, so it's going to look in a similar vein as the books that they're already purchasing. So look for the best-selling books in that genre or subgenre, and then read the book descriptions. Look at the titles, look at the subtitles, and look at how it's being marketed. Most importantly, look at the reviews. What are readers saying about it? Look specifically at the 3-star reviews. Don't go all the way to the top and don't go all the way to the bottom in reviews. Look at kind of the middle spot because those are going to be the most honest reviews, and they're going to tell you if that author missed something. Maybe the characters are too flat, or maybe the book just simply did not meet the reader's expectations. This is good research for you. And as you're reading reviews, don't limit that research to Amazon. Check out Goodreads. Goodreads is full of voracious readers, people who read all the time, and they are happy to say exactly how they feel about a book. You can get a lot more in-depth reviews there on Goodreads. One of my favorite research tools is Publisher Rocket. It's a one-time fee. I think it's around $100 or $150 now. But it's so worth it because they're continually adding new features that will help you research the competition. Once you've done your research on the market and you know that you have a market for the book you'd like to write, it's time to begin researching that book. And research is so important whether you're doing nonfiction or fiction because it builds credibility. You're going to want to know if you're writing about a nurse in the 1980s, for instance, how did that nurse work? If you're writing about a small town in Italy, you're going to want to know how small towns are governed. So the more research that you do, the greater the suspension of disbelief for your readers and the more enjoyable it will be for them. For nonfiction, it's all about stats and reports, current information, and making sure you cover all your bases. This is a look at the books, just the books, that I reviewed before I wrote the book, Goddesses Are Ageless. Now, this was just the books. I also looked at podcasts and TED Talks and online articles to make sure I had the most up-to-date information before I wrote that book. And for Goddesses Stay Sexy, I'll show you that book here. For this book, I actually interviewed dozens of women age 50 plus. I asked them how they felt about dating, relationships, and sex. And they were very frank, and that made the book. If you plan on selling your book, make sure that you have a market before you write a word. And don't worry, you're not starting from scratch. You've already lived a full life, and it's given you stories and insight and authority to make your book something really special. Add that to research to ensure your book stands out. In our next episode, we're going to talk about how to write and plan your book. Are you a pantser or a plotter? We'll talk about what each of those are. They're both valid approaches, and we'll talk about some writing tools that may help. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and have a fearless and fabulous day.